Let's get this is gonna be a good
Yeah. Third time's the
one.
charm.
Woo! Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Doyle. This is the First Degree Table, and I am delighted to be sitting down with Sean Foer. But no, not Foer, but Foer. But both seem to get you there because Sean, you are everywhere. Tell the fine folks at home where they can find you on the internet and what you're doing there.
It's true, almost everywhere. I think I'm best known on TikTok, where I give out indie game recommendations and GM advice, but I also post on Instagram and YouTube Shorts. I've just dipped my toe into long form content on YouTube, and I also design games on which some of which you can find at itch.io or my website, sean4.com, and then what keeps the lights on really is my professional GM work, which I do through independently, both through my website and on startplaying.games. Uh, yeah, in addition, I think you can find me in the byline as the editor on a few other tabletop RPGs and the playtester on even more.
Hmm. Awesome stuff. We are super excited to have you here on the long side. You've been cutting your teeth over on the TikTok and the YouTube short, like 1 to 3 minutes, and I was like, I don't know if this guy can talk for 2 hours. You run
You will
games,
be amazed at how
yeah.
long I can talk.
How many hours roughly on average are you pro GMing in a given week?
Oh, yeah, totally. So I run between 5 and 7 games a week. Uh, that's roughly 3 hours with like depending on the game, maybe an hour for prep for each. So let's say back of the napkin math, we're at 20 to 30 hours a week. I'm professional GMing.
So that's, I mean, that's full time. Like you should be
Yeah.
arguing for health insurance if it was that sort of thing.
They, it does pay for my health insurance, which is nice.
Nice.
So yeah, but independent, yes, and it does keep the lights on. I'm amazed. I started doing this in 2020, and I can't believe I'm still doing it.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. I'm sure our audience is curious, but I am personally curious because I've dabbled with the idea quite a few times. So question number one, do you still run for fun? Like, do you have your
Yes,
friendly cool? And
yes,
does that like
I
get
have
tainted or
to.
is there bleed? You have to. Interesting.
Yes, I have to. If I didn't run games for fun, I don't think I could keep doing what I'm doing. Uh, there's like, so I come from a theatrical background,
Hmm.
and one of the things I learned as an actor is like, in order to be a good actor, you also have to like live a good life. You have to have like experiences to draw on. And I think that's true, like as a GM as well. Like having a bunch of life experience makes you a better GM, but also like uh having those games where like I'm not on the hook for the quality of the experience, right? Where the pressure isn't on, I think is super important as well. Because it's those are the games in which I feel like I can really experiment. Although I am definitely running a very experimental Pro GM game right now. But yes, I have to run games because I want to try the stuff that's not popular. I want to try the stuff that's not marketable. I want to experiment. And perhaps most importantly, I always want to be rotating the people that I'm playing with. Like I want to play with I want to play with diverse people. I want to play with people who don't share my experiences. I want to play with people who can teach me something about like their play style or the way they approach RPGs. And I feel like if I didn't have like one or two games either bi-weekly or weekly that was like feeding that hunger, I feel like I would lose something, at least longitudinally over time from my growth as a GM.
That makes sense to me. I mean, that would be my projection. That makes a lot of sense. I can see how, I don't know, it's got to be cool to just, just go mess around. Because I do feel like
Yeah.
there's got to be a larger degree of pressure, right? Like a game master in most systems is already taking on the lion's share of responsibility beyond the psychological burden of like, oh, I hope my friends have fun and I feel like I'm in the driver's seat for all of that. But when someone's handing you money for a good time, I feel like that changes the social contract to a degree. Like what's the main difference you see sitting behind the screen for, your buddies and then for like customers?
I would say that I get nervous, which is something like I've been GMing for like 15 years or something, and I still get nervous before my
Mm.
like paid GM games for exactly that reason. It's like, oh, they're counting on me to make it a good time for them, and it always works out. I don't think I've ever had a bad game. I don't know what I'm nervous about, but like I still feel the pressure a little bit. And then sometimes, especially like in the early games, if I'm not playing with an established group, if I'm playing with a drop-in kind of campaign where everybody's sort of coming from a different place, in the beginning, there is this difference. There's this whole other skill, which I'm sure convention GMs also probably have to hone, which is transitioning us from like from individuals to a group. That's
Mm.
like from running for 4 or 5 individual pallets to being able to like serve more family style, put something in front of everybody and have them interact with each other as well as just with me, because sometimes like when people are first joining, they're not super comfortable like interacting or being vulnerable or role playing with each other when they're strangers around the table. Now RPGs do a magic trick where they make people from strangers into friends very rapidly. But that is like the key difference usually at the beginning of a game, is that a lot of times I do feel like uh we're kind of like siloed off into our individual lanes, and I have to like feel like I have to chip away at the barriers between the players to get them to the point where like now, okay, great, now we're doing a scene that doesn't have me in it at all. It's
Mm.
just between these two characters. And that's when I'm like, all right, we got there. Now we're singing.
Love it. You have a short where you talk about building that party cohesion in the story, maybe not necessarily at the table level. But you claim the catchphrase, "Who wants a brother?" And I was like, oh, that I like. I'm taking that one.
Oh yeah, totally. When I play, which is rare, I'm a forever GM by choice. I way prefer to run the game. But when I play, and we're building characters, I am always like I want to be related to someone else at the table, and that runs deep. That's ever since I played Fiasco in 2012. I've been like, well, of course I have to be related to the person on my right and left, because that silo effect is something that I'm trying to get out, break it away before the game if I can. That's like my priority when I'm starting a game, is like I want to be able to have scenes with the other people and give the GM a break.
And that's the gold standard for me. The difference between like a good game and a great game is when the dungeon master can sit back. When the player characters are interacting with each other, taking the initiative to start scenes or at least like ask questions of each other. That's the good stuff. Players do
Yeah,
that all the time.
yeah, it's when the game starts to run itself, is when like the drama originates from the players, and
Mm.
like all the GM really has to do is react naturally and honestly.
All right. Actually, before we roll some dice, I'm not going to ask for the secret because that feels uncouth. But explain to me the secrets of the night market.
Oh yeah, great. So I recently ran a game called Perils and Princesses,
Mm.
which is like an old school style like dungeon fantasy game, basically, where instead of the traditional fantasy hero, you play as fairy tale princesses. And I ran that game for the designer, who is a fellow Chicago game designer, Ryan Lynch, and a couple of friends. Like this is what I'm saying. I gotta have games that I run for fully for leisure and pleasure. Um, and I was running this game for Ryan, and I saw it on the horizon that there was going to be the dreaded shopping episode. They had stuff they wanted to buy, they had stuff they wanted to sell, and I was like, no way am I doing a normal ass shopping episode of my fairy tale RPG. So I had like them meet a traveling merchant who was going, oh no, I'm not going to like the regular market. I'm going to the night market, which is like a goblin market, troll market, like secret hidden fairy market inspired adventure location essentially, where you can, you can buy things, you can get things that money can't buy, you can buy things that you couldn't normally find with your money or with other stuff. And I also, because it can't just be a shopping episode, there was also like a sort of a mystery and an adventure that happened to be going on at the same time they were there. And everybody loved that so much that after the game, Ryan was like, "Would you write that adventure for for Perils and Princesses?" Because I had edited Perils and Princesses and its first official adventure module, Sweet Revenge, which is like about a candy curse, and like hunting the witch. What did it? Uh, but it was like it was coming up on Zine Month, which we didn't get out in time for Zine Month, but it all worked out. And I was like, yeah, of course, sure, yes. So I wrote that adventure out and we put it up on Kickstarter, and it did very well. Probably by the time this video comes out, the Kickstarter will be over. But it's coming out on itch.io and Ryan's website, Outrider Design, uh, and maybe other places too. You might be able to get physical copies. Ryan usually orders extras. Uh, but the secret of the night market was actually one of the things I was experimenting with, because I find I can sort of get into a rut with the kinds of adventures that I design. Like, not that it's a problem to have a voice or a style, but like, uh, one of the ways Perils and Princesses broke me out of my like usual habits was like kind of looking at things more whimsically and a little more like it's hard to find words for it, but like not a downer. I feel like I do a lot of downer endings. I feel like I do a lot of like dark and gritty and like kind of seedy, um or like cynical, like a cynical view of the world. And for night market, I literally remember when they found out the secret, like because my players were my players and they know me and they're like, ugh, there's gonna be some it's gonna be some nasty twist, it's gonna be some like knife twist, like when we find out the secret. And they found out the secret, they're like, oh, that's cute. Like that's like really, I did not think it was like I achieved exactly what I wanted. Like I was able to surprise my players by like subverting my usual impulses, and that was my goal with Secret of the Night Market. And so the secret is a twist. It's an extra twist for if you're like me, but for even for the regular player, there's a twist that I'm really proud of. That is the secret of the night market that has to do with the nature and the identity of the lords of the market, the masked lords. This like ethereal, like strange pair of creatures that seem to rule over the night market and like glide through its thoroughfares, and everyone's kind of like scared of them. And what's up and what's going on with them is the eponymous secret. Oh, I have the proof copy right here. Thank God. Which Ryan Lynch illustrated, and I love his style so much.
Mm.
These are the masked lords. They're chilling. I promise.
Beautiful stuff. And I love that fairy tale whimsy injection. It's like, yeah, I'll go the same thing of like, this is a serious game and you might die, and the enemy is capitalism. And, and it's
Yeah,
like,
my
wait, no,
favorite
we're
game is Blades in the Dark, which is like all like crime drama. The world is horrible. You're not good people. Like all of that. It's like everyone's out to screw you, and uh, it's upfront about that. But like Perils of Princesses, I was like, I gotta break out of that. We got to do some fun stuff.
and it's a good like palate cleanser. You got to change the tone up every so often because then it's gonna make that dark stuff hit way harder, opposed to it kind of just leveling out. If that's all
Yeah.
all you're bringing to the table, I don't care what your favorite food is. You eat it every day, you're gonna get bored of it eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Yes. Just like that.
All right, roll me a d20. I
All
got
right.
20 index cards in front of me with questions on them. If you roll doubles, we trigger
I
the
got
lightning round.
I've got a natural 20 right there.
Woo! I'm glad you got
Presumably
this
that's
one.
the best question.
There is a tonal shift. So like one
Okay.
isn't a gotcha, but like it's thematic. Let's put it that way. What is your best move, trick, or hack? What is your game master superpower?
Whoa. My best move is give more information. Like
Hmm.
I have never been let down by doing what I call being generous with information. If the party doesn't know what to do, if like the if we're in a rut, if the session seems boring, like I'll tell the players something where I'm like because the GM is sort of like is the window through which the characters see the world. And so I always try to make that window as big and clear as possible because having heroes who know stuff is like way more fun because you can't act on information until you know about information. So I feel sometimes like the guy shoveling coal into the train engine, where the
Mm.
coal is like gameable, actionable information, and the train engine is the players. And the more information I can shovel to them, the faster the train is gonna go. So like I'm stuck, whenever I hit a rut, I will tell my players more information. I'll be like, okay, what about the situation aren't you aware of? That is causing that's like causing us to stall out, and I'll find the character who's most likely to either know it or to be able to piece it together, and I'll be like, well, you would know, or I bet you could figure out given the information you already have that, and yeah, or I'll have an NPC like tell them that bit of information because the more I feel like the more texture I give the situation, that's handholds for the players to grip onto and start clambering. Like information makes the game go. It's the coal in the engine room. So that's my hack is that I think most GMs are monopolizing all the good information because I feel like we get attached to the idea of the reveal.
Hmm.
We want the big moment where we reveal stuff. But I think a little bit of that is ego, and I think the reveal is less important than the actual having an understanding of the information. And I think a lot of people underestimate how dramatic the context to the reveal would be. Like you can tell them that the that you know I don't know. I'm trying to make something up on the spot here. Like you could tell them that the local countess is having like a secret party that's like it's sort of an open secret. No one's invited. Uh, or like none of you are invited certainly, but it's masquerade. You could try and crash it, right? Uh, maybe I wanted them to find that out on their own, but they get it in a kind of lackluster way. There's still going to be a great reveal when they bust in and see it. And now they'll have the context to understand what they're getting into, but they have to know about it before they can break in, right? Give it to them. Just give it to them. Give them the razor, sell them the blades.
Give them the razor, sell them the blade. That's two amazing metaphors in one beautiful little package. I really like the idea of information is the fuel to the fire, is the coal. And I think a lot of game masters are like distributing briquettes one
Yes,
at a
yes,
time
just little nuggets. Yeah, yeah,
because they
right.
think that's fulfilling. But
Yes.
yeah,
So
to
are
have that grand
they're like leaving a candy trail of charcoal briquettes when in fact they should be you should be shoveling.
shovel it in there because even if you are going for the big reveal, the only reason that like the end of the movie is consequential is because you have 88 minutes before it
Yeah.
of information. It's
Right,
not
right,
just
right.
like, oh, he killed that guy. It's like, no, oh man, there's a bunch of steps. You need a ton of information to build that satisfaction. I do think
Totally.
you're right that a lot of it's ego. I think a lot of it's also just perspective. It's very easy when you're in the driver's seat. I already know everything. It's
Yes.
all very clear to me what's
Totally.
happening.
Yes.
So
That's I think that's actually the bigger reason. Absolutely is that you write a riddle knowing the answer and you think the riddle is obvious.
man, it's so easy. I know the answer. It can't be
Yeah,
that
right.
hard.
Once you know the answer, it makes a ton of sense, right? But if you don't, yes, the players, a lot of GMs don't realize that the window they're giving the players into the world is the glass is a little frosty. It's not super clear.
Yeah, clean your windows. Roll a d20.
Let's do it. What have we got? We have 15.
15. High and tight. 15. Name a moment that would be on your TTRPG highlight reel.
Wow. Uh, ooh, just one?
I'll take a smattering if that's easy for
Uh,
you.
Yeah, let me think for just a moment, because I bet I have something here. Maybe we can, maybe in post you could compress the amount of time I spent thinking about this.
Dear
Um,
editor Ryan, please remove this pause.
uh, Okay, I'm gonna start with one. This is the one that I always think of when someone's like, "What's the coolest moment you've ever had in an RPG?" I was running a political intrigue game in a fantasy-ish world, like a Mediterranean um island with with magic and stuff. And one of the players was playing a wizard who ran a magical academy, which was sort of against the doctrine of the magical church, that
Hmm.
was like the basically the papacy of this society, and uh was doing some was teaching some students some stuff that the church wouldn't approve of, and got like this missed role while her character was like training these students. And I was like, okay, so you're not going to mess up like teaching the students. That's not what's at stake here. But the church is going to find out what you're teaching them. And this is going to come back to bite you later. And when it did, I turned to the player and I asked her, I was like, where are you when the assassin comes? And and she gave me the gift. She said, I think I'm in the bathtub. And and so we had this amazing scene of like an assassin breaking into this wizard's house while the wizard was bathing and like trying to drown him in the bathtub and like stabbing him. Like we had like the bathtub turning red and the whole time like the this is like a wizard character who's like not super good at like physically defending himself. So he's like rolling these dice and he's failing. But he is rolling dice that cause him to gain experience points in this system, and he actually levels up in the middle of this scene, and uh, and he takes an ability that lets him use like combat magic, and so like the scene ends with him finally like as he's drowning and bleeding out in the bathtub, figuring out how to use his magic for combat and killing his assassin, like as another character is arriving at his apartment. He's like stepping out, like clutching his knife wounds, like there's bloody bathwater spilling out into the room, and he's like naked, like out of breath, and like him and this other character just like sort of like stop and like look at each other like what the hell happened here. It was like so cinematic. It was such an amazing scene. The level up came like right at the precise moment. I think about that scene forever.
And that's good. I mean, that's good game mastering, but that's good system design too. I like learning from failures. Like necessity is the mother of invention, and that's the perfect exemplary version of that. We're just like, well, I better learn how to animate a clawfoot tub to defend
Yeah,
myself right
exactly
now
right. Like
because
that. Yes, better figure out how to uh, kill someone with bathwater. Like,
there's also, and I've heard you do this before on Shorts or TikTok of just handing your player like, here are the dramatic stakes. I
oh
trust
yeah,
you to do to make this moment better, not undermine the tension with them. Like
yeah, totally. I remember
not role perception. See if you
yes.
like. Oh, you don't notice until he's through the. It's like, here comes the assassin. What's up? What are
Yeah,
you doing?
yes. Where are you? And the bathtub was such a good answer because
Mm.
I definitely posted a video about this and I had one comment being like, well, I'd just say like I'm holed up in the basement, like wearing like armor and weapons. And I was like, what an amazingly like boring and uncollaborative answer. I was like, okay, all right. There really are people out here trying to win. But like, yeah, but I was so pleased with that answer. I thought, like, I didn't. You could have said anything, but she actually literally opted to put herself like the most vulnerable her character could possibly be, and it is the scene I think of now when someone asks me like, "What's your highlight?" I was like, "Yeah, it's that."
Yeah, and if the impulse was, oh, I'm in my combat simulator danger room, armed to the teeth with my, magical accoutrement utility belt, that would not be an interesting memory. You wouldn't be
Yeah,
telling that
right, right.
story. Oh, love it. Roll a d20, please.
Let's do it. We have a 9. We're ticking our way down.
Number nine. Number nine. What common slash popular advice or take out there in the TTRPG internets do you disagree with?
There's a lot.
I refer you, dear viewer, once again to the link to the TikTok down below.
Yeah. There's a lot. So I would say the big one would be and this is controversial, would be like the about fudging dice and fudging hit points.
Oh,
Like I'll talk about fudging hit points specifically. So like if you're running a game that has hit points, it's like pretty common practice as I understand it. If like if the encounter isn't going the way the GM thought it should go, that they'll change the number of hit points that their villain or the enemy has to make the fight last what they see as like the correct amount of time. And I really don't like that. for me, it sort of it feels a lot like unplugging the player's controller and letting them
Mm,
still press buttons.
mm,
So it looks like their character is doing stuff, but actually they're not. Like whenever someone talks about like adding 100 hit points to a monster, it's like it feels a little it's like it's another kind of ego thing. It's like, well, wait, well, why are you the one that gets? Why are you the GM the one that just gets to decide like how what this fight should look like? Like there's a like I believe very strongly in like emergent narrative and like what happens is what happens and not in planning like okay here's what this fight should be like this fight should be hard or like this fight should take a long time. That's another thing I can't forgive is adding hit points like bloating hit points to make the fight last longer. I'm like don't do that. A lot of granular kind of HB based tactical combat systems fights are long enough already. Don't make it
mm.
longer. And also if you're doing it because the players are like effective or lucky, that's like let them have their victory. They win. They won fair and square. So I'm like a lot of people believe that the GM can't cheat. And I'm like, yeah, you absolutely can. Yeah, the GM can absolutely cheat. And usually there's like no it's like kind of people see it as like kind of harmless which I mean I can't sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't sometimes it's a waste of time and I'd say ultimately the stakes are very low. It's a game, but there's something about the sort of like the dishonesty of it that doesn't sit right with me, like or the fact that you'll never have an experience that you as a GM that you didn't approve beforehand. The players will
Mm.
never make light work of something that you decided should be a hard fight, even though that could be an interesting story. Right? If you took that and ran with it, like if they're like, oh, whoa, maybe the guy that you were fighting was a blowhard, or maybe like you've truly surpassed this entity in some way, or like uh, or maybe the villain has just like personally has like is totally pathetic. And it was like all the minions, right? All of his like lieutenants and stuff that were actually sort of propping up, stuff like that. Um, I'm rambling, and I feel like I've gotten off topic, but that's the take I disagree with. Is like that the GM should like manipulate things mid encounter to get the experience they want, rather than looking at what's actually happening in the game and letting that inform like the truth of the situation.
Yes, because if you want the big bad's supposed to have their big dramatic reveal, they can do that with their dying breath. You don't need to buy
Oh
another
yeah, also
round
true.
for them and an
Totally.
hour of
Yes.
gameplay. Like,
Right. Yeah. Uh, yes, I feel like everything that people say you need to fudge dice or hit points to do, you can do pretty easily without fudging dice or hit points. Which a lot of people get mad at me about that, which like that's fine. And full disclosure, I think you can do like whatever you want with your game, but I do think the players foreknowledge and consent is important. Like if there was a game in which I felt like I had to fudge dice, I feel like I would ask my players like top of the game, like such as you're like, hey, sometimes I might feel like I need to like fix outcomes in this game. I don't think I would do this. I don't think there's any system in which I would do this at this point in my career. But if I would just clear it with them top of the show. I'd be like, hey, is it all right if I do this? And I bet all of them would be like, yeah, I think that's fine. Like I think, and I don't think it would ruin the magic for them, but I would get their permission to be like, hey, there's some things that I'm going to nudge if that's all right with you. And if any of them said no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I'm not a what they don't know won't hurt them kind of person. I don't like it. Feels icky to me. That's just a personal preference, though.
Well, I think you hit the heart of it right away when you said it's like unplugging a player's controller. Like, when it doesn't matter what they do, for good or ill, right? Like, so full disclosure, I will jack monster HP up to pretty close to max baseline. Like, I will start the encounter there.
Oh yeah,
Where,
D depending on
so
how many
in
players I
in
have,
in
like
fifth
before.
edition, especially late
Yes.
fifth edition, where it's like I consider that like design or like encounter balance to start. In a very rare situation, mostly because I'm bored. We know where the fight is going. I don't need it to last another 45 minutes of high level fifth edition play.
Oh,
Like I will
I'll cut a fight short
yeah,
all the
I'll bring the
time.
HP back down. Yeah, yeah.
Or I'll be like, listen, y'all, you've turned the tide. You're gonna win this. Like, or I'll have the enemies realize and be like, they'll surrender. Like they know they're
Oh,
losing. Like they're gonna surrender or run away. And this is a chase or like or a kind of a dilemma now. What do we do with with these surrendered enemies? Uh, Totally. Yeah, and the reason I think like cutting a fight short is way more forgivable than extending it is that like if you straight up told the players like that you were doing it, they'd be like, "Yeah, cool. Okay." If you like whereas if you told the players like, "Hey, I'm adding 150 hit points to this guy," they'd be like, "Come on, what are you doing?"
yeah.
But if you said
You'd have a
I like
mutiny.
yeah, but if I said like, hey, this guy has 3 hit points left, you just hit him for 25, like, can I when this is over, right? Like they'd be like, yeah, I think I think they'd agree with me in general.
There is this wild thing where it's my brother-in-law, one of my players, my brother-in-law, will leave monsters with 1 HP so much so that it's a thing that we all know over the course of like campaigns. It's a statistical oddity. I'm sure part of it is confirmation bias, but like in the back of my head, a lot of them I'm like, I'm gonna give it to him, but it's become such a thing. And I run a very transparent game. I roll in the open. I don't let them know the HP bar or whatever, but like I run things pretty much by the book so that everybody knows, I'm playing these things tactically, but I'm not cheating. And there's a difference. And like, the dragon wants to kill you, but Ryan could go either way.
Yeah.
But that's always a tough one for me. And I'll give it to him like once in a while. But now it's just like now it's a shtick. Now it's funny. It's like, oh well, he's got 1 HP left. Like,
Yeah.
who wants to finish him off? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like you could do that. I think you could do that at 1. You can also do that at 0. Like you can give named characters in like games like Dungeons and Dragons. You can give named characters death saves. Like you
oh,
can have them be dying. Like you can have them like be attempting to stabilize something like that.
it's fun. That is my house rule that I just landed on years ago. It's just like if it's got a name, it's got
Oh
death
yeah,
saves. It
totally.
could come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because especially like when an NPC joins the
Yes.
PCs and it's suddenly like, okay, now they get to play by PC rules, right? Like, you get a little while. They get to lie down on the ground for a little bit before they're dead.
I think that's probably how I got there. They probably like adopted and named, and now like it was Goblin number 4, but now it's Gobo the
Mm,
Magnificent, and like all right, yeah,
yes.
Gobo gets to make death saves, but that means Gobo's boss, who has a name and a motive and a backstory, he's also making death saves now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Full sign.
you
Yeah.
know, I'm gonna take a pause here. What system are you running slash like what are your preferred? Because you're running a lot of different games, which I feel like is a more impressive task at a paid table. I imagine 5e is still or whatever, 5.5, whatever we decide to call it, is still like the number one, I don't know, demand, right? But
Yeah, so I have 2.5, I'd say. So of course, like all of my uh all my fifth edition games are, a lot of their house ruled, right? They're like
mm,
as I think everyone's table is, there's like there's a lot of stuff going on that sort of customizes it, personalizes it. So I've got 2.5 games in in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, but I've also got Forbidden Lands. I have
Mm.
Blades in the Dark. I have Triangle Agency, which has been blowing my mind recently. I've got Slug Blaster. I've got Agon. A lot of John Harper, a lot of Forged in the Dark in there. I got I have I have patterns that I fall into. And I think that covers it. That's everything. And then I also run a bi-weekly playtest group in Chicago where I'm getting a steady stream of new and unfinished games, which is
Mm.
always nice.
That's interesting. Playtesting is an art and a science, but like that's yeah, that's interesting. Like yeah, we'll talk about that off air. How do I get into the
Oh yeah.
TTRPG like incubator space? I'm close
Oh
like
yeah.
without making the game myself.
Well, I'm like an addict, like to TTRPGs, to like new and interesting like mechanics and design. And so now like the only thing that gives the only hit that gives me the high I used to get is like I gotta play the stuff that's like totally unfinished. I gotta play the stuff that's like so new it's not out, it won't be out for another 5 years.
Chasing the dragon. I need that raw
Yeah,
uncut.
100%. I want to cut myself on the jagged edges of your mechanical design.
Tell me more about. So you've got me excited about the Triangle Agency in your social media platforms. Sell me on that. That seems like a really exciting one that I know very little about.
Yes, I've never played this, but it's been compared by others to me to a video game called Control. I'd say like it's also a little bit of like of SCP. It is about a corporation, a private corporation called the Triangle Agency, which sends teams of field agents out to hunt down and capture anomalies, which are these like strange reality warping entities that come into being based on like the concentrated thoughts of people and groups of people that
Hmm.
like actually like they enter into the world and they try to like reproduce that thought in other people and they sort of like destabilize reality, right? They start to change the world around them and warp them. And so these field agents are all half anomaly. They're all human beings who have bonded with an anomaly and then sort of entered under the auspices of the Triangle Agency, who sends them out on these missions. But as you play, you get to access and you spend time on your like work-life balance, sort of getting in touch with like doing extra work, getting in touch with your personal life, and getting closer to your personal anomaly. You unlock these pieces of the game. This is like kind of like how you level up. It called the play wall, the play walled documents,
That's
and
clever.
there are these like authorial voices that start talking to you through the play wall, and they like give you new abilities and they tell you more stuff about the world. And so like there is like a slow kind of drip feed of information, and as you play, the characters start to draw conclusions about what the agency's true mission is, about what's really going on with anomalies. And it's like, it's truly a game you can only play for the first time once. It's like a game that you can
Hmm.
have spoiled for you. So I
Hmm.
don't want to say too much about Triangle Agency other than like you gotta try it. It's really good. It's one of the most joyous experiences I've had reading a rule book. Like the rule book is so fun to read, and like it demands to be played because the more you play, the more of the book you get to see. And it's like it's very clever. It's like super subversive, and it encourages the players sort of like really making their own decisions, like drawing their own conclusions based on the information that they have at any given time. And the way that it kind of treats truth and discovery is it's very fun.
Man, I love watching an erudite person be excited about something. Like I am going to go. I'm going to buy that now. It's giving a little like if Blade Runner were thought police kind of vibe.
Ooh, yeah, there's like there's a little bit of Blade Runner in there for sure. It's like you're hunting replicants, but you kind of are one too. Like it's great because like the first choice that the game gives you is like, hey, you're a resident, you're a human bonded with anomaly. You can go and you can join the Triangle Agency. Join a field team and help us hunt down and capture anomalies, or you can be hunted down and captured by a field agent team as an anomaly.
Yeah, the evil can't. Well, the other side campaign is suggests itself as well. Roll a d20 because we're definitely gonna get into spoiler territories because I will ask too
Yeah,
many
right.
questions about that.
All right, we're going back up to 12.
Well, how deadly do you like your game?
Ooh. So I play a lot of games where which have like different stances on character death. But I would say my favorite are the ones that let me kill characters with impunity because they give the player the agency to decide when their character actually dies. So, Triangle Agency is one such. Field agents have a life insurance policy where if I kill them, which I've already done a couple times, the Triangle Agency will like bring them back basically. Maybe it's them, like probably it's you, probably it's the same you. Maybe how can you tell anyway? Or is it the same you when you wake up every morning? Stop asking so many questions. But like
Let me
same
tell you
deal
about
with
this ship I've slowly
yeah,
replaced piece by
exactly.
piece.
It's the same deal with Blades in the Dark. One of my favorite things to do in Blades in the Dark is kill a player character, because every PC in Blades in the Dark has the power to resist any consequence by paying some amount of stress. And so it's like my favorite thing to say, like, oh yeah, she pulls the trigger, and blows your brains out, and then be like, I think I'm going to resist that. And then they'll take stress instead, and they get to describe what they do. So it's almost like in a video game where like you see the game over happen, and then it's like that's how it could have happened. And the player gets to say what they do that lets them avoid that fate at the last second. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cheat answer. How deadly do I like my games? I like to be able to kill my players at any time, but only because the players get to decide which time they actually die. There was definitely the last time I ran a game called The Sword, the Crown, the Unspeakable Power. There was one character was playing a chef, a sushi chef. Like that was their whole character. Like uh it was so great too that we're like it was like this fantasy world political big movers and shakers political intrigue game, and this guy was the royal chef, like the imperial chef. Like so cool that was a character concept that worked in that game. And at one point this chef's luck had run out, and I was like, all right, this guy knows you tried to poison him, like and he's got a bunch of armed guards. They're gonna come up and they're gonna gut you, like, and you're gonna die. There is a mechanic in that game where you can sort of take a debility. You can take like a sort of permanent malice to one of your stats, to survive, to like mitigate the harm that you take. And I say, so you can take a debility here, and like one of your allies will find you bleeding out in your sushi restaurant, or this is where it ends for you. And the player was like, no, you got me. This is this. I think this is where they die. And was like, yeah, that's fair. There were like a bunch of failed catastrophic rolls that led to this point. I was like, yeah, they come up and they just open you up, and it's like, yeah, I think that's where I die. And it was the last session of that campaign, so it was appropriate. But like, yeah, that's how deadly I like my games. I like uh I like to always have the freedom to say like that's gonna kill you when it makes sense in the narrative, as long as the players can be like, I think I got a little more gas left in the tank, actually.
Because those are the greatest moments. Like a good story has a conclusion, has an ending, doesn't just, I don't know, fade off when the scheduling changes.
Yeah. Yes, I'm a strong proponent of ending your games.
This has been a joy, so I'm gonna get one more D20 out of you
All right, let's
before we
do it.
call this
It's a 13.
13. Well, I guess all of these are like it depends what you're doing, but what is on your Dungeon Master screen slash what's in your Game Master's toolkit?
Oh, the name bank.
Ah,
So,
yes.
at this point, right? Yeah, yeah, it is. It depends on what game I'm running. So it's the cheat sheet for the game I'm running. But the one thing that is always there is the name bank, the list of names. I never want to be caught with my pants down when my players say, "What's their name?" So what's your name, friend? Because there is nothing that makes your world look more real is than when you can quick draw somebody's name. Like then the players are like sometimes the players think they're getting you when they're like,
Hmm.
"What's their name?" And then yeah. You're like, oh, Alice Phillips, nice to meet you. Like, because I've got my name bank right there. I just like quick glance, and they're like, oh, this isn't an NPC they made up. It is. This is an existing named character. And I'm like, that's right. That's like I'm not usually like an illusionist, but that's one illusion I will like shamelessly do is I'll make it look like this character has always been named, will always be named, and like that character was always important, right? Became important when you asked for their name. And but the name bank is that's system agnostic. Never leave home without it, without a list of names that you might use.
Behold the depth of my world building.
I hit generate name 5 times on fantasynamegenerator.com.
I'll pretend in that scenario, like I used to have that was like one panel of the screen was the names, and now I don't have a screen. So like if I'm like looking up real quick, I'll pretend I'm looking up the characters. Like, oh, I didn't think you were gonna like interact with this person, like fantasy name generator.com. But I'm like, oh, I know, just not off the top of my head. It's in the notes. Yeah, I'll find this
Yes.
guy. Hold on one sec. Yeah, because of his elaborate backstory and
Yeah,
deep
totally.
motivations and character flaws that I must
Yeah,
reference now.
I have like the digital sticky notes on my laptop. I'm looking at them now, and it's like sometimes a different games require different types of names. So I have
Mhm.
a bunch of like name banks like sort of by game here. Like the names I use for Slug Blaster are going to be the different from the names I use for Forbidden Lands. But yes, like that's the bulk of my prep notes on a lot of those sticky notes. Is like, oh, here's 13 names I could use if the situation called for it.
Bonus question. Give me a Slug Blaster name.
Oh yeah. Oh, hang on. Let me pull up my sticky
Yeah.
notes.
What do
Uh,
you Radical
uh,
Edward. No, that's Cowboy Bebop. See, that's what happens if I don't have a tool, I just like rely on something.
uh,
I've yet to play Slug Blaster, but I am
oh,
hyped on that game. As a child of
strongly
the
recommend.
80s and 90s, I yeah.
Uh, okay, I don't know how I got this one. Tootin Ashley. I really
Tootin.
feel bad for Tootin Ashley, honestly, that she got that name.
Is it
Uh,
Tootin apostrophe? Like
Tootin. Tootin Toots Ashley.
Toots. Tootin. Not Tutankhamun.
No, no,
With my
Tootin Common Rider.
Yeah, that's a good one. Write that down.
That's a good Slug Blaster name too.
That's a good Slug Blaster name. Uh, all right, Sean, it has been awesome. Hey, if people want to like hang out with you and pay you money to run one of several many games. That's a thing people can do, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
literally. Yes. You can drop me a line on my website. It's seanfoer.com, seanfoer.com. You can send me a message and tell me like what kind of game you're looking for, and I'll let you know when I have an opening in my schedule, and you can play a game with me. Uh, One shot campaign, whatever, short thing. I'll teach you how to play a game that you've always wanted to try. That's my favorite thing in the world, by the way. Yeah. I get that from time to time. People will like show up in my inbox and be like, "Hey, can I get a game with you?" And I'm like, "Yes, I would love that." So yes, anybody, you can do it too, as long as our schedules line up.
incredible. That's always the
Yeah, right.
question.
That's the question. Anybody's available weekday daytimes, call me.
Let's go. Yeah, and I think the most appealing part to me is getting a game that I wouldn't be playing otherwise and experiencing it as a player. In my day-to-day life, I will gladly learn something and probably be willing to put in the effort to drag 4 or 5 of my friends kicking and screaming from the one game they're willing to play for a night or a couple weekends. So yeah, oof, what a public service. And I'm sure, man, if you bring half of the light and the energy to that as you do this isn't even your show. And yeah, you're incredible, incredible. Really, really awesome spending
Thanks,
time with you.
very
Everybody
sweet.
go check out Sean. Description has all the links for all of the stuff, including Secrets of the Night Market, which sounds awesome and looks beautiful. If you're just listening to this, go check out the beautiful art
Yeah, look at the
by Ryan.
illustrations.
Ooh, yeah. Outrider design. Sean, again, thank you. Everybody at home, be kind, have fun.